Hello, my name is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to talk about NESARA in the brief, and we're going to answer some questions. Coming right up. Okay, so I know I get this question all the time. You guys watch one video and then you don't see all the rest of the stuff. You say, where is this question? And I'm going to answer some of those things, but I'm going to do this in the brief as well to give you an understanding of what NESARA is really about. First off, I want to share with you my website is called drscottyoung.com. You can go on there, you can see the books. One of my books here is NESARA and the Mark of the Beast. You can also look at quite a bit more information, and you can donate too. So if you really like what we've done, but I would really appreciate it if you just at least subscribe and you can ask some questions. So thanks so much. So here's what we're going to talk about today. I want to talk a little bit about NESARA because there's a lot of confusion. Some people are reading off of a page and just flipping out some information. So NESARA is National Economic Stabilization and Reformation Act. Okay, so one of the things that happens with NESARA is it's nationalistic. Okay, don't think NESARA is the mark of the beast or it's some crazy thing. I know lots of people want to talk about it. The reality is the global reset is the international version, and that's the part that Donald Trump already killed. So it's already dead. The White Hats have already taken care of that stuff, okay? The reality, what we're talking about over on this side of that issue is NESARA that is a gold standard of money. So the fiat currency is gonna die. What is fiat? It's what we use every day that has no particular value. But what we've had is we've had all the gold come over, and that is part of some of the cover. The White Hats already knew it was happening, so they brought the gold over to flip the Fed out. So people talk about ending the Fed. The Fed's already dead, and they don't know it. The reality is it was killed about a year and a half ago, and we just are seeing the vestiges of this, okay? So it's a nationalistic thing. It's for America. Now, GESARA is the global one. That means just each of the countries, each of the countries having their own currency. So it's not mark of the beast. Stop, okay? It is about every country being patriotic to themselves. You want Zimbabwe to be inside of herself, and she has all kinds of cool diamonds and other things underneath her grounds. That's what we need to do. And we need to help countries who have just been pillaged over and over again with helping them take care of themselves. Because when they take care of themselves, it's not a burden on other countries. And when we do that enough, and that's some of the humanitarian stuff, when we do that enough, we find out, wait a second, I don't have to pay for everyone else? Oh, that's a lot easier, right? So a couple things that we're going to talk about. That's part of it. There is a constitutional response in legal areas. We've been under admiralty law since 1871. We came away from the gorgeous system of the constitutional law, and then it moved into this admiralty law. And it has no common sense. When you say, hey, the justice isn't happening, that's exactly right. It's not happening. And it's very frustrating for you. And you look at this and say, this is unfair. It's because it's admiralty law. One of the things, I have a friend of mine named that I really, really like this guy, Rob PFL, talks a lot about this kind of thing, and he gives a lot of great information. But when they delete all this stuff, we're going to flip into the constitutional viewpoints. You know, docket is actually comes from the word doc, an admiralty, navy tradition. There's all these crazy things that are going to happen. And the lawyers and the judges are going to have to relearn the process. On top of that, you know, we hear this all the time. I hear this, one of my big questions, and get this all the time. Why would the bankers want this to happen? How they have control, how are they going to give over that control? Listen, if you stole something and I found out you stole it from me, and by the way, I just had this one here the other day. Someone tried to steal $4,000 out of my personal account. Now, I pulled that thing back jerked it back from her. I found out who she is in Kentucky, and I'm going to come after her. Promise you, steal from me, I'm going to come after you hard. I've got her exact IP address, and it's already going through the Tulsa police into the Secret Service, okay? I'm brutal when it comes to that. You try to take from me. But the reality is, what happens in that way, if someone was stealing, you catch them and you put them in jail. They don't have access to the funds. These are criminals that we're talking about. So the central bankers, they're not going to have any control over this. They've already lost the control. That's the executive order. It's 13848 that loses their control over the central banking and the money. They don't have control of that. It's already been taken back from them, and it's going to be given to us. That's the coolest thing in the world. And again, we're going to be on a gold-based standard. That is biblical in many ways. I mean, I could count it. I could go over into this one, and we are going to do one just like that on some Old Testament kind of verses. There's some great New Testament verses that talk about the same thing. Part of the other thing is to reduce the debt. Frankly, I believe that we're going to eliminate all the debts. Now, one of the areas that gets a little controversial is mortgage debt. So let me just answer a little mortgage issue. There are groups of people that believe that mortgages will be completely wiped out, that it is paid for through the white hats. Now, there's other groups of people that will say, well, we're not going to reduce the debt or take away the mortgage. Let me give you an example. Let's say you had a $200,000 house, $300,000 house, whatever. It'll be redone with a correct level of basic interest, not that compounding interest that just, kicks you in the teeth, but a basic level of interest. I don't know what that is, okay? Don't ask me what that number is, okay? And a really basic fee so that the banks make something off of that transaction because they have to put it on their balance sheets, okay? That's the reality that happens. That's always been the case when we were in the correct way of looking at balances. Now, then it would be reduced in value because it's overvalued. There are tons of things that are overvalued, like health insurances, car insurances, all these different things are just service-based points that are way overvalued. And houses are in the same kind of level. So those will be reduced in value. Now, whether you agree with the idea of mortgages are eliminated or mortgages are reduced dramatically, that's a major cool thing. And even after you get past this point, even if we have mortgages are eliminated, well, people are still going to buy houses again, and we're going to see that reduction in the pricing. And that's something I talk about in a pricing kind of area, and I talk about wages and pricing to give you more information. One of the other areas, let's show you another one. I hear this all the time. I'm on Social Security. I'm getting $1,500 a month or whatever that crazy, horrible amount, or disability. Hey, listen, the white hats know about this circumstance. They've been listening to you. And this is something that we've seen in the system of stealing from you. And that is going to raise pretty dramatically. Do I know the number? No, I don't, okay? I don't know that number, but here's the thing that's going to happen to you that are on Social Security. First off, the value of your money that you already have is going to increase, while the pricing is going to decrease. Great thing for you, which means your dollar, your rainbow dollar, will go much farther. Secondly, you're going to see a raise in the money that you get every single month. And then you're going to notice something other crazy, which also is related to this, is the IRS is just going to go away. The IRS taxation is part of the elitist group of viewpoints. So what they do, the elitist way, is they take the money from you and IRS. The IRS sends it to the Treasury just to make it legal. Then they throw it over into the Fed, who then take out their 6% and they take out their percentages of the debt. So we're at $29 trillion in debt, and they take out the percentages to pay it off. So it's a two-level point that they steal from you, and then they throw it back in the economy. Money laundering, okay? So you're going to see all of those things. When you see those things kind of going away, you're going to say, wait a second, I have much more ability to do that. Now, everyone's not going to be millionaires. Stop talking to me about this, okay? We're going to get $11 million a month or some crazy kind of thing. We're not going to have lottery winnings every which way, because people need to work. The next term of DJT, okay, I'm going to say it that way. The next term, he's looking to bring in 1 million new businesses. We're not talking 1 million new jobs. That's many more jobs than that. That's 1 million new businesses. That's going to be a great thing for America and frankly for the world. It's going to be huge. And it's just going to be the thing rolling down the hill. So you're going to see it faster and faster and faster every day. And that money is going to be, your money is going to be transferred. Now, this is another thing that happens. I hear this all the time. What about my 401ks? What about this issue? I've got savings. I've got this thing. I've got that thing. All of those things are just going to be flipped. When we go from the SWIFT system, see, banking codes, every single loan, every single transfer has a SWIFT banking code. It's based upon the routing number that you have in your bank. And that's why it's already in the system. It's just going to flip into the quantum financial system, the QFS. It's already been running back and forth. Just think about it. There's a computer over here. And let's say I had a server running the system. And I have this system. I got to have it going on all the time. And I'll give you an example. I use a system with my audiology business, and that thing's got to be up and running all the time. And they have servers that go through this. Now, it goes through links and everything else. But what if I was my own server for the heck of it? And I was thinking about switching over to another server. But I'm going to build a whole new system, not just a new server. Okay, we're talking about a system of processing all the information that I have. Well, what I would do is have the old system with the old mentality or the old computer, and then I would have the new computer with the new system, and I would see them running concurrently, which means you'd have to double enter everything in. That's part of it. Now, there's ways that they kind of look at this. So the new system is looking at the SWIFT system and finding that situation. And then when it flips off, boop, I would just turn that thing off and run with the new system. It's exactly what they're doing. So when you see that process, it's so much more fascinating than you realize. The next thing that I want to talk about here, and I get all the time, is that we have dollars in our wallet, okay? You got change in your drawers or whatever that circumstance is. That will have chances for you to go down to the bank and they'll switch over into the rainbow currency, which is that good currency. Now, obviously, it's going to have a digital transfer mechanism as well. That's not the mark of the beast. Stop talking about that, okay? If you want to know more about that, you can get to the NESARA and the Mark of the Beast, and you can see some of the other videos that I explained. I'm not going to talk about it here today. But you're going to have a chance to be able to switch that over. Now, the switch over is a one-to-one transfer. If you have $10,000 in the account, it'll be $10,000 in the NESARA funds. If you have $1,000 in the account, it's $1,000 in the NESARA or that transfer mechanism in your accounts. I'm not going to steal from you. The central bankers would hate that, but we're not doing it their way. Now, we do know some other things. There's Zim, which is the Zimbabwe banknotes. There's Dong. There's all kinds of other currencies. And for the most part, what we're hearing is that many of the other currencies might have a $3 or $4 to one, which American dollars to their one transfer mechanism. So some people have had that. And they're waiting for that time frame. We're at August 24th right now of 2021, and that transfer will happen, that you go down and you actually do a contractual transfer with a wealth management specialist. But there will also be that same thing for Zim. Now people ask this other question too. Should I get gold? Hey man, gold's never a bad thing. If you want to get gold, you want to get anything, do what God is telling you to do. Don't do what I tell you to do. I'm just sharing some of this information. People ask me all the time, should I get gold? Should I get XRP? Should I get Bitcoin? You know what? What is God telling you? What's in your heart? What are you hearing? By the way, if you will listen, He's talking. Now you might say, well, I'm not a believer in Christ. Okay, I hear you. You can choose whatever you want to. But I listen to God all the time. He wants to talk to you about the smallest things and the big things. He's there listening to your stuff. And if it's important to you, it's important to Him. It'll be the same way with my son who's just moved out. You know, he's moving out, he's in grad school kind of thing. Do you think that I'm worried about him? Do you think that I think about if he's got a need, like he was having to get the his internet set up, and you think that I wasn't thinking about that? You think that I didn't realize that he had to do all the drops in this new house that he and his roommate are dealing with? That's on my mind because it's on his mind. That's the same thing with God. He's got, you've got stuff in your mind. He's already got it figured out. Just plug into Him and it calms you. Do you think that I'm worried about things? No. I'm ticked off, just like many of you, but I'm not worried about it. Why? Because I have faith. So I get this all the time, and I'm going to leave you with this one point. Hope is an expectation. It's of the now, okay? If I have an expectation that you're going to walk in and drop a $100 bill on my desk, well, that's a hope, okay? That's maybe a hope based upon the circumstance. So I have an appointment with someone and I know that they're going to pay for their product or whatever that is. I have an expectation. Now that person has decided that they're going to do that, and I do have an expectation that they pay their bill. Make sense? Okay. But faith is the evidence of things hoped for and the promise of things unseen. Can we apply that to NESARA? I have a ton of evidence all about NESARA. I have a ton of evidence all about GESARA. And that evidence is stacked up. And that is the evidence that I hope for. And the promise of all these things unseen. Guess what? The Bible talks about that. That's in Hebrews 11:1. It's a great verse. I quote it to people all the time. So it isn't about a hope. It isn't about trusting in a guy. It's about trusting in what I've discovered in that system. Now you might not have faith in that. It's okay. You don't have hope in it. That's okay. That's your choice. But if you want to get aboard in this area, you might find that God is going to do some amazing things. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. That is not an end time verse. That's made for you. That's made for you. And I believe that is the time frame of the now. I know that's weird to you, but it's big. So I thank you for listening to us. If you'd like to go on to drscottyoung.com, drscottyoung.com, you can donate. You can watch the videos. You can see the book information. If you want to look at our stuff, you can leave comments. I try really hard to answer your questions with that. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.